Big tech giants like Facebook, Twitter and Google are increasingly turning their attention towards Africa, with much more of a presence in the region in recent years, setting up shop in places like Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa and Ghana. The African internet economy stands to get a multi-billion-dollar boost as a result. CNN's Nada Bashir breaks it all down.
When it comes to big tech investment, the giants of Silicon Valley have traditionally looked to Asia. But some of the world's leading tech companies are now shifting their focus to a new market and investing big in Africa.
This is a vote of confidence in the tech industry in Africa. We have seen a lot of innovation coming out of Africa. We've seen a lot of tech startups scale very quickly. They're attracting a lot of funding, and this is driving the interest of the big internet players like Twitter, Google, Facebook, etc.
Twitter is among the latest big tech firms to establish a presence on the continent. The company says it is actively building a team in Ghana, a move that has been welcomed by the country's growing tech industry. How important is it for Ghana that Twitter has announced it'll be establishing its first Africa base in your capital city?
Twitter's coming in is like a seal of approval on the steps that we've been taking so far. We're excited about their coming and hope to build upon that, and hope that we can also use them to attract other world-class companies to come and make Ghana their home.
Like Twitter, Google has also chosen to invest in Ghana, launching its first artificial intelligence lab on the continent in the country's capital, Accra. Meanwhile, Amazon expanded its footprint in South Africa in 2020, launching a new web services infrastructure region in Cape Town. Facebook too favoured South Africa for its first office on the continent, establishing its Johannesburg base in 2015, followed by an announcement in 2020 that the company would be launching a new office in Lagos. And more than 3 decades on from opening its first office in Africa, Microsoft has announced its latest endeavour on the continent, working with the Nigerian government to develop the country's high-speed internet infrastructure. With a growing population of tech entrepreneurs, big tech investment is set to have a transformative impact not only on Africa's digital landscape, but on everyday life.
We're hoping that this will create the opportunity for us to learn from each other's experiences and see how digital technology can open up the space, energize our economies, create wealth for our young people, provide alternative livelihoods.
A report by Google and the International Finance Corporation projects major growth in Africa's internet economy, with the potential to contribute nearly $180 billion to Africa's economy by 2025 and more than $700 billion by 2050. It's an economic boost with the potential to create millions of jobs and new opportunities in education and innovation. A winning combination for a continent striving to become the world's next big tech hub. Nada Bashir, CNN, London.
Joining us live now to discuss this, Uzamaka Madu, founder of the strategic communications agency What's in It for Africa. Uzamaka has also done consulting work for several UN agencies and the European Commission. So Uzo, you're seeing it more and more ever since that visit from Mark Zuckerberg to Nigeria back in 2016. You sort of see this interest in Africa from big tech companies sort of ramping up. Just explain to us why, and why now, more importantly.
So thank you, Zain. I think a major reason why we have big tech companies on the continent is why we see investment in general going to the continent. So it's a young continent, 54 countries, and around 1.3 billion people have an average age of 19. And this youthful population is into tech. It's creative. And so there is a market for their products to sell. And also there's an increasing number of tech entrepreneurs that are coming to what I would say more developed status, and being able to offer a really informed and developed workforce for tech companies. I would also say why now? I think there has been a growing investment over the number of years in developing skills, in developing the hundreds of technology hubs that exist across the continent, in major cities like Kenya, like in Nairobi, in Lagos, in Yaba, and essentially those investments are now paying off, where these technology hubs are now churning out viable businesses and entrepreneurs.
Uzma, let me ask you this, though. I mean, when you think about a lot of these tech firms, they've been in hot water in the US and the EU because of antitrust issues, disinformation, especially in the US, and data regulation concerns as well. Should African countries be treading carefully here, do you think? And if so, why?
Yes, definitely. I think the watch out is definitely on data when we think about big tech companies coming into Africa. And I think a major reason for that is the regulatory environment on the continent actually is not very robust when it comes to data protection. Only around 50% of African countries really have a grip on some form of regulation with the goal of protecting personal data. Nigeria, for example, only a couple of years ago provided its first data protection regulation. And as we know, data is the new oil. It's become the world's most valuable commodity. And so it's really important that we have those frameworks and those legal frameworks in place on the continent to ensure that data is protected. And I would say that African countries have been making that effort and have been starting to do that work. There's been calls for localizing data, for instance, so that any data collected is actually saved on a server locally. Where those negotiations and conversations are going to go, it remains to be seen. But it's definitely a huge
and also, one of the things that will attract more big tech companies and actually more foreign investment in general is, of course, the ease of doing business environment. These firms are looking for transparency. They're looking for low levels of red tape and bureaucracy. Where are some of these West African countries on that scale, do you think?
So overall ease of doing business, I think, across the continent has improved, but there are still significant bottlenecks. And take, for instance, Nigeria, because the conversation is, why did Twitter not go to Nigeria? Why did it go to Ghana? Nigeria is number 131 out of 190 on the ease of doing business scale. And some of the big problems there are setting up companies and also electricity supply and registering to get property. So these are quite fundamental issues when you're trying to attract investors to not only invest in your country, but also set up their homes in your country.
And so, finally, I mean, you know, the announcement that Twitter was going to be setting up shop in Ghana stung, I think, in Nigeria. I'm just wondering, you know, does Nigeria look at this and think, wow, we really need to step up our game to make sure that, you know, this doesn't start a trend of all these sort of big tech firms going to Ghana instead of us?
Yeah, I definitely think it should. It should mean that Nigeria looks at itself and thinks, how do we get better at the ease of doing business? A lot of those pragmatic, issues around electricity supply, registering business and the business environment in general. But we also have to look at the reason that Twitter gave for why they went to Ghana, which was around rule of law, democracy, value-based issues. So we also need to look at how Nigeria fares when it comes to issues like corruption, like the security issues, but also, you know, their management of the NSARS protests probably didn't go down very well in Twitter considering whether to make Nigeria their home or not.
I mean, it's certainly, I've got to be honest, it stung me a little bit. You and I are both Nigerian, you know, and I remember reading that headline thinking, oh, that's a shame. Where are you from, by the way? I'm from Enugu. Where are you from in Nigeria?
Also Enugu, actually.
Oh, my gosh. 2 Enugu Igbo girls commanding on CNN. I think that must be a first. Uzoma Madu, live for us there. Thank you so much.